What is up, everybody? Welcome back to, of course, the lovely Adrenaline RC YouTube channel, where today we're going to continue testing our TLR-tuned Arrma Typhon. If we look back into our previous video, of which, if you haven't watched that yet, definitely make sure you check that out. We did race the Typhon for the very first time ever. But in that video, we went over a few things that we thought would maybe be beneficial to helping the handling of the car and helping the efficiency of the car. So today, we're going to do the first thing on that list, which is going to be testing our gearing. In this buggy here, it's going to come with a 50-tooth spur gear, which is quite a bit larger compared to other buggies on the market. Most buggies, with the exception of a couple, have a 46-tooth spur gear in it. So we want to do some different spur gear testing to figure out if we can get a little bit more battery runtime out of it. And the theory with that is, because I'm hoping I have to use less throttle to get from point A to point B, that means I use less power, thus meaning I would get more runtime. Whether that is actually the case or not, I have no clue. It's not something that I've tested before, so I can't say with certainty that that is going to be the case, but it sounds good, it sounds educated, it sounds like it's a good hypothesis. So we're going to see if that is in fact the case today. So we have in my hand here a lovely 46-tooth spur gear, which does come directly from Arrma, which means that it is going to be an easy drop-in tuning option for you guys to do to your car if it ends up being the case. Of course, there are lots of different things we can do to add runtime, and I think the big thing with this car is going to be the weight. But in order to do that, we have to start dabbling into other brands of vehicles and kind of mix-matching things to make them work. So that's what I like about this. It is something that is going to be easy to install, easily available, no modifications needed. You just go on the website, buy this gear from adrenalinrcracing.com, of course, and then you throw it in your car and you go have fun. You don't have to do anything crazy at all. Direct drop in. But we do have 2 battery packs charged up today because it is a different day, a different temperature, different everything. I want to do a baseline run with 1 battery. That way we can see where we're at right this very moment. We'll come in, do the change, and then we'll put our second battery in and see if we actually gain anything. Both batteries are pretty similar in cycle life and just the way that they've been run. So that should hopefully eliminate some variable there. Obviously, with all of this, there are tons of different variables, but I want to try to keep those to a minimum so we get the most accurate testing possible. So, like I said, we're going to do 1 battery for our base, come in, change, do the second battery. I'll time it all on my phone. If I wreck for whatever reason, because I'm a bad driver, I will make sure, of course, that I pause that clock. That way, again, we get the most accurate data for true just drive time. I'm going to get, of course, some footage of me driving the car. I'm not going to put in all the footage because then we'd have like 20-25 minutes of driving without necessarily needing that driving footage, because we're just testing for time today. We're not testing for lap times at all, not testing for handling. So I'll throw in some clips from the first run, throw in some clips from the second run. That way, if it does make any super dramatic changes down the straight or something, we of course can see that as well to go along with our data we want to gain from our stopwatch. So we'll go ahead and throw a battery in, get some tires on, and we'll get going with this guy. Now, before I do that, I do want to let everybody know that if I take a little walk right over here, I have my B4.1 that I ran at Invitational. You guys have seen me run this at Motorama, seen me run this at Mugen Challenge. We are going to be waffling this guy off. And it is going to be set up as an almost ready-to-run buggy that you guys have the chance to win, and then of course run one of the buggies you've seen on the channel. But we're going to go over that at the end of the video. That is of course not our main topic today. The Typhon behind me over there somewhere is our main topic. So let's get some wheels and tires on there, get a battery in, and get going with some driving. With all the chop and fluff, making it a little difficult to Oh, so talking about steering. Well, everybody, we have run into a little bit of a pickle. As you will see in the clip just before this, I was driving around and my steering all of a sudden got super duper funky. And that is because the piece that is now connected to our upgraded servo saver tube, which allows us to tighten that servo saver down and get more consistent steering, decided that it was just going to spontaneously combust. I don't feel like that anything crazy happened to it all. It is chilly out, so I'm sure that definitely played a factor in it. But I didn't really think that we had any major crash at all. So I'll spin you around here so I can show you guys. But right in there, you can see that that secondary piece, so not the very top one, that middle piece there, has managed to spread itself apart, which of course means that, well, we don't have any steering anymore. So I'm going to get us a new part. I was hoping that Hot Race had an upgraded steering rack, so that way that just wouldn't be a problem at all anymore. But I'm going to get us a new set of the factory ones. Maybe I'll boil them, make them just a little bit more flexible. I don't know. But we're going to go ahead, get our steering rack fixed, get it installed with the new piece. We'll restart our test, get the batteries back to their just full standpoint. We'll get our baseline again, or attempt to get a full baseline run, and then we will continue with our gearing testing. All right, everybody, we are now on what is day 2 of attempting this test. As we know, we had that steering breakage yesterday, but I was able to get a part from our other store, and now we are totally back in business. So I went ahead, both batteries were discharged yesterday, and then now I am recharging them the same way that I was charging them yesterday. That way we again have that apples to apples test. So as soon as these finish up, we'll throw battery in the car. And it's much colder today and much more windy, but we're gonna push through and we are going to get the entire test done, hopefully, without any sort of breakages at all. So I've got my nice warm jacket behind me and we're gonna have some fun in the cold. All right, here we go. The weight helps a little bit with the wind, but certainly doesn't alleviate it by any means. You can see our top end down the straight based off the gearing. Not super crazy. So hopefully our theory proves correct. We get more straightaway speed. In theory, going down on spur, this thing's going up in pinion, so we'll lose a little bit of acceleration, but we'll gain some top end, which it does have a lot of rip straight off the bat, just doesn't have a whole lot of top. Wind's picking up. I mean, overall, it's not terrible. Suspension definitely is not really doing much soaking, but we've collected a leaf. That leaf is now exited. Smoothness is super important right now with the chop and the wind. Mostly just kind of survival, not even worrying about necessarily hitting the exact right lines. Also because the exact right line sometimes can't be hit. But mostly just making sure we stay on all fours and drive relatively consistent. So you can see, can't come into that turn nearly as fast as what we could before because of that new chop that's been added. That doesn't feel too much different. Honestly, this side of the track isn't too terrible compared to what it was. This side of the track that has gotten really bad. When picking up. this. Set it every other time, or send it again. Try to pick the nose up a little bit, but luckily I was able to use the brake, bring it back down. Almost lost it there. You see the suspension not able to roll into it. Suspension definitely on the stiff, bouncy side. Big gust of wind, gonna have to roll this again. Almost lost her there. Lost a lot of our rip that time by. Yeah, we're just barely clearing that now. Limping down the straight. We're gonna go as far as we can before it officially goes into cutoff. There it is. Alrighty guys, test 1 is officially complete after we had that little bit of kerfuffle yesterday. Wow, is it tough to drive out there. As you'll see and hear in the video, there is tons of wind. It's super cold. I can barely feel my phalanges right now. But we got the test done and we went 10 minutes and 45 seconds. So pretty comparable to what we were doing before. Now, of course, because the track is choppier, looser, and it's colder out, can't push nearly as hard, but it gives us a good baseline so that way we can do our gearing test. These tires here, let's see if I can spin you guys around. A little shot now, but luckily I've got another set of the exact same tire in very similar condition. So again, trying to eliminate as many variables as possible. But I think we're ready to get that spur gear in, do some testing. Suspension is definitely also not making it super easy, which was one of the things that we're going to do in the future. But for today's test, we got a really good baseline in. We were able to drive around. I only had one wreck, so I did pause the timer so that way I didn't skew the data at all. But of course, obviously the fans were running. I doubt that that's going to be anything super duper major by any means. But other than that one wreck, we had a good, smooth, consistent run, ran the whole time. So that 10:45, give or take 5 seconds, should be pretty extremely accurate. So let's go ahead, rip this guy apart, get the new spur gear in. I'm gonna fill the diff up with the exact same oil. We'll get it remeshed. One thing I didn't think about is I'm hoping that the slide allows us to mesh it all the way tight. I've never tested it, so we're just kind of hoping this works out. But let's get to it. That's kind of gross. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm seeing this, I almost wonder if we need to keep going up in our center diff, because this has got 3 runs from race day, half a run yesterday, and the full run today. I'm going to fill it back with the same stuff for consistency purpose, but interesting to see. See the size difference there between the two of those. Alright, diff is in and remesh, and then something I also just thought about is because this is so much smaller, in theory, we also have less rotational mass. So we are working towards our weight savings already. But everything's ready to go. We're gonna get a battery thrown back in here, battery sitting off to the back here, and we'll go ahead and do our test. Battery test number 2. You can already hear it's got a lot more than what it had before. And it doesn't. feel like it affected the acceleration a ton. Like I didn't reduce it a ton, I should say. What is interesting is that I feel like I can grab the throttle a little bit more, which I guess actually could potentially make sense because I have less acceleration, so I can be a little more deliberate with it, I guess. There's a chance that I could actually have more. I could have more bottom end, but it's more consistent bottom end because now the car can take a second to actually like grab traction. So even though I'm technically losing acceleration, to some extent I'm kind of gaining it. It does feel pretty smooth. Definitely think I'm jumping further on that back jump now, so that does support the more top end thing. Super wind. Not gonna be jumping anything this time by. Car got up in the air a little bit, plus the wind definitely did not help anything there. Oh, it's chilly. I can't feel my phalanges. The car definitely does feel more appropriate with this gearing, I think. So even if it doesn't improve the runtime like what I'm hoping it will, I do think that it is still a step in the right direction. At the very least, it's a step in the right direction for our rotating weight, because this gear is an okay amount smaller with those 4 teeth less. So marginal gains here in a couple different departments. But no matter what, it does feel a little bit nicer to drive as I bonk that pipe. That is the problem with talking while driving, is I kind of drive like a novice. But knocking out a couple birds with our one stone here: rotating mass, drive line efficiency, power band feels better. I imagine that motor temp may go down because I don't have to work the car so hard. Wind caught us there. And I'll also actually get lower motor temps too, because again, it doesn't have to push so much weight. So we've got lots of different aspects working here. So whether our main intention is gained, we've made some pretty good progress. Picked up. I don't know if I'm just driving better, but I do feel like I'm hitting my lines nicer, comparatively speaking. Tire life is pretty similar to what we started with on the other set. They're both green reflex. Keep on that line. But I feel like through here I'm able to come through a little bit nicer. Maybe it's just because I'm a little bit more warmed up to the track now after that first run. Got a better feeling for it, kind of know where the choppy stuff is. But that's all kind of speculation. But yeah, it is so crazy. It does feel like the car is driving a little different with this gearing. Not from the sense of like power band, but just from the sense of like the way it orbits around the track, I guess you could say. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I wouldn't think that the rotational mass would make that big of a difference. I don't know what the actual weight change is. I should have weighed it. Whee! Yeah, we're getting close to the end here. Struggling to make that center double a little bit now. There we go. Maybe just a bad approach. There it is. Alrighty guys, we are back in from test number 2, and we have some great news here. I'm gonna pull out my phone so I can show you guys. But we went 11:11, which means we picked up, I think it was 10:45 the first time, so like 26 seconds is what we gained from doing this gearing change. So, I mean, that's pretty awesome. I don't really know exactly what I was anticipating. I guess I was thinking maybe it'd be a little bit more, but not an ungodly change from what the factory is, just a couple teeth. But nonetheless, I mean, 26 seconds I feel like is a pretty good gain. I mean, that is an entire lap out there, which means that now I have an entire lap of buffer to be able to do something like a warm-up lap. Or if I don't do the warm-up lap, I know that in the closing stages of the race, I'll still have enough pack left in it to where it's not going to be like super sluggish, and I'm just kind of hoping whoever's behind me doesn't catch up. So we've made pretty good progress. We'll see again on these tires. Similar life to what the first set came off on, which tells me that, in fact, the starting portion of these compared to the first set of tires was pretty similar. So, yeah, I mean, good news. I like the fact that my theories and my tests have been working. And then, of course, as I'll say in the running video, of which you might hear depending on like what portions of the clips that I use, I was talking about the fact that something I didn't even take into account is the gear is smaller, and it's a steel gear, which means that we also, to go along with our driveline power efficiency, well, now we have less rotating mass. So that's also helped as well. So between the more efficient driveline, I do think that I like the power band of this a lot better. It feels a lot smoother on track. And then, of course, we have the weight savings. So we've got lots of different whammies here that we've achieved with just one change. So we're making good progress with the series. I think definitely the next thing we're going to have to do is work on suspension. I do think that this will be the last video on the outdoor track. So we'll have to get another kind of baseline on the indoor track so we can see where to move in there. It has gotten very cold, as you'll hear in the running videos most likely. There is plenty of wind. It's like 36 outside, plus the wind chill, so it's somewhere sub 30 feeling outside. Fingers definitely were pretty chilly, pretty red when I came in. Was still able to move enough to drive, but not the most ideal. But we've had a very successful test day, so I'm super happy about that. And now that we've gone through all of our TLR Typhon stuff, I'm sure there are some of you that are waiting for the very end to figure out or learn about how to do this waffle for our B41. So I'm going to spin us around here. I do have the B41 sitting here. Move this over if I can not slip my hands off everything. So this B41, as I stated at the beginning of the video, is going to be set up almost ready to run. So it's going to have our speed control, servo, motor, and the fan. It does not have a receiver in it or transponder, of course, and doesn't have the battery. So it is an almost ready to run setup. But this is the way that I drove the car for the majority of its life. I put that base setup back on it that I run just about everywhere. So it is in super good shape and ready for its new home. So the way this is going to work is we are going to have 100 tickets for sale, $10 a ticket. There is no limit on how many tickets you buy, but once all 100 tickets are sold, we will do a live spin the wheel as we always do on our channel, and that will, of course, announce our winner of the B41. It's 100 tickets. There's no time frame at all. It is purely just when all 100 tickets sell, we'll do the live spin wheel, And one of you guys will go home with a, well, I don't want to say fresh, but a freshly rebuilt B41 that was raced by yours truly. So again, you can buy as many tickets as you want. If you want to buy all 100, I guess in theory you could, but 100 tickets, $10 a ticket. Once they all sell, we'll do our spin wheel. So that will be in the description below. Also in the description below will be that spur gear I used today. But if you want to jump in on that, go ahead, head to that link, get whatever tickets you want. We will ship to the United States. For the main portion of the United States, if you are outside of the United States, you will have to pay shipping. But other than that, we will, for all the United States stuff, we will cover shipping on that. So best of luck to you, and we will see you in next week's video.